summer I was in Washington, D.C., vacationing with my brother. And I said, I'll just go to the Pentagon. You know, you could drive up and walk through the door of the Pentagon, nobody ever bothered you. And I looked on the directory board there and found out where the Marines were. Found their door, knocked on it, walked in. There was a desk sergeant sitting here, and I said, I was there in Korea, and they took pictures. Guy gets up from his desk, he goes to the filing cabinet, and he thumbs through the filing cabinet, pulls out an envelope and says, "Is this what you're looking for?" And there was a picture. I didn't know what was going on, you know. And there was a photographer standing there and a cake. And as they say, no cake knife was available. I just grew up as a kid, you know? Cops and robbers, you know. Elementary school was Emerson. Emerson was a school ground. It was on the corner of 16th and Maple. Playground, then a high fence to catch the baseballs. That was it. And the maintenance man's name was Mr. Peel. If you were in his good graces, you get to ring the bell. My father was a maintenance man for the Register and Tribune. He spent like 50 years there. He made our first radio. Mom was a homemaker. She had studied nursing back in the 20s. After dinner, we would line up and with one set of earphones, and you know, you went by age, and you could listen to Cincinnati or New Orleans or places like that, you know, on this radio. From grade school into junior high school, I was a paper boy, belting out extra, get your latest edition. My cousins went into the Marine Corps. This was 1942, but they were my inspiration. That's when the Marine Corps opened up for black. The first one was among the first 100 Marines. After high school, in 1946, the GI Bill was coming to a termination point. And it was to be terminated October the 5th of 1946. It was before Congress. And so I told my parents, I says, look, the only way I'm gonna be able to go to college is through the GI Bill. So I'll go in now before it gets terminated. So I go down to the Corps, I signed up, I'm on the train October the 4th. October the 5th, Congress had said, okay, we'll extend the GI Bill. In the Corps, they only had two training bases, San Diego or South Carolina. And how it was is the Mississippi River was the dividing line for blacks. If you lived in California next door to San Diego, you still traveled by train to Montford Point, North Carolina. And we landed into Jacksonville. It was a Sunday night. There was a railroad track that ran down the middle. One side was black, the other side was white. One side was paved, the other side was dirt. And we had our meal and then went back to the station to wait for a truck to take us into Montford Point. You know, and we get to the gate and they just gave us hell. During our time at training, just constantly drilling. The Corps was in pretty poor shape. A lot of people had been discharged. There was downgrading in all military. So supplies were downgraded and everything. And there were moments that you wonder, why were you there? They had more blacks than they needed. To me, look, I signed a 3-year contract. I'm gonna fulfill it. So I stayed. took the train out of there and went into Great Lakes, and that's where I was discharged. And the North Koreans decided to go south, and the paper came in the little envelope. Welcome back in the Corps. Truman had signed the papers desegregating the military because all the services needed bodies. So we trained at Camp Pendleton, and January, February, we shipped out. I get there, Korea, and I'm assigned to Able Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marine, 1st Marine Division. And the thing that got me, when I realized how real this thing could be, was as you're going up the hill in your nice, clean dungarees, there's guys coming down the hill with dirty bandages. You know, you say, wait a minute, you know, what did I sign up for? This is real. We had been on the move, heading north. On the trail, there was a body. It's the first dead body I'd seen, you know, of a Chinese. In April, the Chinese went on the offense, and they started firing. There was never any R&R, or it was either a village or the hills. We had been on the move several days and we were dead tired. I mean, we were bushed. And we dug in, night. It's night. We were strung out on a hill, and assignments are made about who's gonna take which watch. And when it was my turn, the fellow that I was to follow, he called me out, you know, says, Wilcox, it's time to go. So I rolled over, get out of my bag, take the post. And I'm standing watch, sitting there. And then I hear this voice saying, Wilcox, time to go.
Marine, you died tonight.
And everything exploded. Some guy was close enough to hear and was smart enough and had enough English to repeat and call my name.
Wilcox.
That's combat.
Time to go.
And you know that old drill of when you're in training and boot camp of stripping your rifle? You say, what a ridiculous thing to do. Well, it pays off. But my weapon jammed. I stripped that M1 down and put it back together. Stripped it down, cleaned it, put the thing back together and kept going. So I said, that training was real, you know? It paid off. In the morning, and you look at a bag with a body in it, still zipped up, and you see the puffs of cotton and feathers. I remember taking my sleeping bag and taking my bayonet and cutting the zipper off of it. So I'll never zip up in another bag. I'll just use it as a blanket. I'll just wrap it around me, but I'll never zip it. Several of them were in their bags, wrapped up, tired, asleep, you know, when they were hit. That's how close, an enemy can come to you. I don't think I've ever talked about that part. I don't think I've ever told the kids that. After I came out of there in 52, I attended the University of Colorado. I did 3 years. And one morning I woke up and I said, I gotta get out of here. I gotta start working. And so I left school. Went back home to Des Moines. Got in with an architect as an intern. He taught me a lot. I knew the name of Amos Emery, so I go into his office Monday morning. I didn't go to Amos to go to work. I went to Amos for advice. I wanted to know how and what I should do. And he says, well, look, come in Monday and we'll find something for you to do. He chopped on a cigar and he drove fast cars. And he would draw. Ashes from his cigar would fall on the vellum. Spittle would fall from his mouth and he would just brush it off and continue talking about architecture and the detail. It was absolute magic. Along came this opportunity to go to Karachi, Pakistan. The fellow I was working with, William Perry, he knew some people in the Pakistan government. And they were doing some work in East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. I met Lou Khan. We didn't know anything. We just knew of him. A lot went on between that time, and I guess we just bonded, so to speak. And when I told him I was leaving Pakistan and coming back here, and a couple of days later, this telegram came. Couldn't turn it down. I was invited to come to Philadelphia, and he came along.
We grew up, my brother and I, in a house that valued and loved learning. That has stuck with me. I got a telescope when I was 8 or 9 years old for Christmas. A $50 JCPenney telescope.
Yeah.
And that started my career. I look at the evolution of galaxies, how galaxies interact with each other, how they interact with the environment, and I like to use big telescopes.
His brother says he's not a scientist because he can't hold anything in his hand.
So yeah, I can't pick up a galaxy like my brother can and turn it around and cut it in half and it doesn't clutter up my house. But I get to use some really, really amazing telescopes around the world.
Yeah. And so now he's found himself as an administrative post out there at the University of Wisconsin. That post is Dean of the College of Letters and Science.
As I've told lots of people, I'm an astronomer, and in lots of astronomical situations where I look around the room, I'm the only black person in the room. And I wonder, gee, how come they remember me? Oh, that's why they remember me.
It's not being used to it. It's being able to maneuver, manage it, and to study people, and to know where others are coming from and where they're going, and why they are treating you the way they're treating you.